on Good Morning El Paso. Police are on the scene of a stabbing investigation in north central El Paso. We'll have the latest developments.
Also happening today, the Texas legislature is hearing a repeal about giving in-state tuition at colleges to children of illegal immigrants. And later,
all of which is pretty powerful stuff.
Closing arguments are set to be heard in the Boston Marathon bombing trial today.
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC 7's Good Morning El Paso.
good morning at 6 o'clock. Gusty winds are coming back into the borderland for the next few days, and that's why we're under a first alert again.
A very good morning to you, El Paso, Las Cruces, and Juarez. I'm Stephanie Valle.
And I'm Hillary Floren. Good morning, everyone. We do have a lot of overnight news to get to. At first, let's go ahead and talk about that first alert and why it was issued.
Yes, and we can say it has a lot to do with the winds, Crystal.
That is right. I hate to start everyone's Monday off this way, talking about winds and dust, but we've got to do it. We're under that first alert, and here's a few of the reasons why. Starting off today, we're looking windy almost all of today. This morning, we've still got some windy conditions out there along east mountain sides, thanks to winds that have been moving through overnight. In fact, it might have been howling enough overnight to wake you up a few times. Plus, we're looking at patchy blowing dust possible by this afternoon's forecast as those wind gusts start to peak. And we're also looking at strong winds for your Tuesday and Wednesday. So that first alert, not just for today, but in the days to come, more blowing dust possible. As for your temperatures this morning, it's actually a pretty nice start. 64 in El Paso. Winds are reporting at 7 miles per hour, but we've been through this before. Just because they're reporting at 7 does not mean some of us are not higher with those wind speeds. In Las Cruces, same situation. Winds are reporting at 7 miles per hour. Our temperature very nice, 47 outside this morning. How warm will it be to accompany those windy conditions? Will it start to feel like that blow dryer effect we sometimes talk about? That'll be coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Crystal. And now to our round-the-clock coverage from north central El Paso.
A new development in the stabbing investigation out of north central El Paso. First responders picked up a man at a convenience store on the 5000 block of Alabama. And investigators are also about 8 blocks east of that location at the intersection of Van Buren and Lackland.
And that's where we find Good Morning El Paso's Denise Olivas live right now with the latest from the scene. Good morning. What can you tell us?
Good morning, Hillary and Stephanie. Within the last half hour, the El Paso Police Department's mobile command unit arrived here to the location. You see it right behind me. And we just learned from investigators out here who told us that the unit was called out to process the scene more thoroughly, like take photos and gather more evidence. But this investigation has not turned deadly, is what they told us out here. And now let's get to the video from overnight, because this area has been blocked off to traffic for several hours. Our newsroom has made several calls to the El Paso Public Affairs Department, but we have still not received confirmation from a spokesperson. So it is unclear if the stabbing happened here exactly, but because that mobile command unit is here at the scene, this could be where that stabbing happened. What we do know is that police remain at the scene over at the convenience store on Alabama. Our cameras were rolling as police questioned 2 men who were sitting on a sidewalk. We still don't know if they were taken into custody or how they are related to that investigation or their role in the investigation. But also, investigators were also looking inside a red compact car, of course, trying to find any more evidence or any more answers to the questions that they are trying to ask right now. So again, we are out here at the scene of Van Buren and Lackland, where the El Paso Police Department's mobile command unit is out here. They're saying they're here to just gather more evidence and take more photos, and it looks like they'll be out here for several hours. So this intersection, Lackland and Van Buren, which is an easy access to Dyer, is closed off right now, so that can impact commuters this morning. So just make sure and be aware of it and take alternate routes if necessary. For now, we're live in north central El Paso. Denise Olivas, ABC 7.
Thanks, Denise, for that update. And now continuing our complete coverage from University Medical Center. Happening later today, county commissioners will decide who is going to replace William Hansen and Laura Ponce on the University Medical Center board. County Commissioners Vince Perez and Carlos Leon announced their nominations last week. Perez nominated Miguel Fernandez, a UTEP business grad and telecommunications CEO. And Leon nominated Joy Martinez, CEO of the Nazareth Hall Nursing Center. He says the appointments are critical as the county hospital and the Children's Hospital work together to improve their financial relationship.
It's very important that they're
the communication lines between the commissioners and our appointees, our board members, are always open, that they keep us informed, because some of these votes, as I mentioned earlier, are very critical, and we vote on information that we receive both from the management and administration of UMC and our board members.
And keep in mind, the Children's Hospital owes the county hospital more than $90 million. Both hospitals have an agreement in place to settle the staggering debt. Now it's up to Commissioners Court to sign off on that deal by the end of this month.
Today there will be a hearing in Austin where arguments will be made to repeal a 2001 law allowing some young people in this country illegally to pay in-state tuition at public universities and colleges in Texas. Republicans say the law is a magnet that attracts undocumented youths to Texas. A border security subcommittee will be having that hearing today. Senate Bill 1819 would repeal the law currently in place. The Texas Tribune says some lawmakers are questioning why the bill will not be discussed by an education committee instead. State Senator Jose Rodriguez, who is against the bill, told the Tribune, quote, "It's implying these students are threats to the country, when in fact they're trying to contribute to the country," end quote.
And starting today, El Pasoans with eating disorders will have a new resource to change their lives and recover. El Paso's behavioral health system is now offering specialized outpatient treatment for people who may be struggling with things like anorexia, bulimia, and even more. The program will also help people with group therapy, meal nutrition, and education over nutrition.
So they will show up in the morning, stay with us about 10 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and they'll have all of their meals monitored while they're here.
Who feels they may benefit from the new program can call the number on the screen there, 915-521-2471, and get a free assessment. Well, it has been nearly 2 years since tragedy struck the Boston Marathon, and now the trial for one of the men accused of setting off a bomb that rocked a nation and changed a city forever comes to a close. Here's Marcy Gonzalez with new information about the trial this morning.
After a month of disturbing evidence and heart-wrenching moments on the witness stand,
all of which is pretty powerful stuff.
today, closing arguments begin in the Boston Marathon bombing trial. The prosecution summing up what they claim was Johar Tsarnaev's role in the planning, execution, and aftermath of the attack that left 4 people dead and more than 260 others injured, including Heather Abbott.
I think he's guilty.
Tsarnaev's attorneys admit his guilt, but are expected to recap their defense that Tsarnaev was influenced by his older brother Tamerlan, the alleged mastermind of the attacks, who was later killed in a shootout with police. The younger Tsarnaev did not testify, staying silent and expressionless through the trial.
I was somewhat surprised at his demeanor in court. I would have thought that he would have some sort of reaction. I really can't understand how a person like that thinks.
Defense team, which only spent 6 hours presenting their case, pushing not necessarily for an acquittal, but to spare Tsarnaev from the death penalty if he's convicted. The case going to the jury as Boston prepares to honor the victims next week on the 2nd anniversary of the bombings. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, New York.
And at 6:08, here's a live look at traffic this morning. This is I-10 near Anthony. Things are moving smoothly. Pretty quiet out there and kind of a tough shot to follow, but we've been monitoring traffic all morning long, and we can tell you that things are moving smoothly on the interstate.
Well, still ahead, a dangerous typhoon makes landfall this weekend, but it may have dwindled, but residents are still on high alert.
And a bit later on, the big NCAA championship games are happening this week for both men and women's basketball. We have all the details on that coming up.
And Crystal also has the details on our forecast, including our first alert coverage, Crystal.
And that first alert includes high wind gusts. We'll look at what we're forecasting today and the days to come after a break.
Thanks, Crystal. This is ABC 7, where news comes first.